just add the,
Highly controlled.
unfortunately, in stage you can't go anywhere.
It's 6:30, let us get started. Start with pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hereby announce that this meeting is being held in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Open Public Meeting Act. Proper notice of meeting dates has been given to the Morris Newsbee, Morris County Daily Record, and posted on the bulletin board in Borough Hall. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Darby?
Present.
Mr. Judson?
Present.
Mr. Lombardi?
Present.
Mr. McAlear?
Here.
Ms. Stecker? Present.
Next topic of business, approval of the minutes from the January 12th meeting. Any issues with the minutes as they were sent out?
I move that the minutes of the reorganization meeting be approved as circulated.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Darby?
Yes?
Mr. Judson?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. McAlear?
Yes.
Ms. Stecker? Yes.
Moving towards the comments from the public. If anyone has any comments, please step forward and state your name and concern. Seeing as there are none, I close this portion of the meeting. Moving forward towards the budget. So Susan was able to send out a document that I put together regarding what our request was from a budget standpoint for 2026. And I layered on where we had a budget for 25 and a spend by category. Same thing for 24 and for 23 as well. And just showing that from an overall standpoint, our request of $900 more year over year is less than 1%. And we've been pretty much flat the prior 2 years. Are there any questions in greater detail about any specific line for the budget?
I have a few questions, but
Yeah.
Anybody else? Frank, you have any questions?
I think it's a great presentation, actually.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for putting the sheet together. Just a couple questions. So,
Yeah.
I guess like my general comment about the budget is that if we're just basically rolling over from year to year, I think that, I have no issue with the budget. But I think that I'm worried that with all the pushback we get from the council, that we're still not addressing this idea of need and how we're justifying our need. So just as an example, like, we're increasing numbers, like, why? Why, they're gonna ask, well, why are we increasing that? Or why are we, moving this number from year to year? Or why are we not pruning as much as we did in prior years? Like, what's the justification for the numbers is what I'm worried about that they're gonna ask about. I don't have any problem in terms of if we're, rolling it over, the numbers are basically the same as last year. My issue is that it doesn't seem to be anchored into the kind of need that I had talked about a year ago when we did the budget. As to us trying to project ahead what it is that we're going to do in the year. Obviously that projection is not going to be perfect. There's going to be unforeseen things. But like, for example, if I'm budgeting for my house, I try to think about, well, what do I need to do for the coming year? What are the things I know I have to do? And then sometimes, the water heater breaks. Okay, well, I guess I'm not gonna, put the new backsplash on. Instead, I'm gonna have to do the water heater because that's more important. This seemed to me to be like a normal way to budget, and I'm worried that we can't explain that with this to the council. So I'd just like to talk a little bit about what we're gonna say if that criticism is made, because that was a criticism that was made last year at the budget meeting. that we hadn't justified according to need what we're doing, right?
Sure, so if you look at the table below, this shows where the increases were year over year. So right off the top, the biggest thing that we had year over year was the amount of memos we received, almost a 50% increase year over year. So the work that we've brought in is greater. What made us not go over budget is the incredible partnership now that we have with our DPW. Picking what trees that they could do versus what Dave could do allowed us to do a lot more from a budget standpoint than we've ever been able to do in prior years. The big thing is, look at the tree planting, 24 versus 25. 16 trees in 24, 42 in 25. So for me, this would address any concern, and if there is more concern, I can walk through any type of request from the council to kind of move forward if we do have any other concerns. My other sheet here, from what our plan and goals are from a 2026 budget standpoint, I kind of highlight what we would use this funding for. My main focus, as it was last year and moving forward, is the continuation of planting trees. There was a time period where, because of various different diseases, we weren't able to plant as much just because of the way the budget was. These are the things I want to continue. I would love to see this year, when we talk about this again next year, instead of 42, I'd love to see over 50 in that line. The tree fertilization is something we've done in the past to a certain extent. If you see across the board, it's been pretty stagnant, the same number in 24 and 23. When you look what we did in 25 with the money that we still had allocated because of the partnership with DPW, we were able to do an insane increase in fertilization. To say that now our trees are protected down the entire, from the merchant block, down the entire avenue, and every high visibility tree that people see coming down 53 or in the center of town, trees that are lit up for the holiday season, everything was fertilized. So for me, if there is any concern from the council on any of these line items, I'm more than happy to walk our council liaison through it and address any concerns.
So, I mean, I don't disagree that, I think I've said it multiple times, I'm glad we're planning more. I think that, that's great. My issue, I guess, here's how to explain my issue. I've tried to explain it before, but I'll try it again. There's way more tree work that we could spend money on in town than we're budgeted for. If you went around trying to find tree work in town, you could find $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 worth of tree work, no problem.
I would agree with you on that. I mean, I've shared even with you that with $5 million, I probably wouldn't be able to touch every tree to the extent that I would love to in town.
So we agree then. So then the question that the council has is, how are we prioritizing what it is that we are doing? Because if we don't have a system to prioritize that work, it looks like we're doing it based on, we're allocated this much budget and we're just gonna spend down the budget. Not that we're addressing issues in terms of what the priority is or the need is. This is why I asked us to look at the U.S. Forest Service Risk Management Manual. I've said a bunch of times that I think that we need to evaluate when we have memos their risk and the likelihood that they may fall, what the diameter is. I think there's a process that needs to go into the budgeting that's like, otherwise it looks like they give us a chunk of money and then, as we can see, like, things get rearranged based on what we need, but we basically spend the whole amount, right? So again, like, it's not like I have a problem with the way, Mike, that you did it, like, that the budget is done if you're doing it according to that method, but it's without having the work prioritized. How do we know that, so for example, this year we need to spend only $30,000 on pruning? Frank, you said at a prior meeting that if we continue to prune like we were and didn't do rotational pruning, that I think you said, well, you're gonna see what an emergency is, or something to this effect. So now it seems like you're saying you don't think that anymore. Maybe you changed your mind, I'm not sure.
No, so I didn't change my mind as far as that.
Frank, I'm just a little bit confused, and again, it's not like, I think we need to think about this in more detail is what I'm saying, more carefully about how we're like, why our pruning in 2024 was $50,000. Now it's gone down to 30.
So really what's happening the prior years, and I looked at some of the information with Karen, things were just being instead of being split out to the correct and expense line items, things were just being lumped into pruning and cabling. So one of the things that we talked about was, I'm gonna make sure with her that we're allocating the correct expenses to the correct lines. So just because it was that, let's say in 24 and 23, it's just that the items weren't allocated to the correct buckets.
I think there's I get your point, Rob, but there's a huge uncertainty here with trees, right? We've had drought conditions, which we know are gonna impact trees. We don't know how much they're gonna impact. It could be, could be this year, it could be next year, it could be 3 years, we don't know. There could be, God forbid, knock on wood, a Hurricane Sandy that comes through. We're gonna have clearly emergency light work that we need to do. I think without, this crystal ball of what we're going to know where we need to spend, I think this is a good thing. I think the methodology we use going forward, whether it's a risk matrix or something like that, I think that's separate and apart from the budget. I think that the budget with the justification that Mike said is a good step for the council. We can address any questions they have, and as we go through the year, or maybe in the first quarter or even the second quarter by the summertime, right? By when we do all the plantings, maybe we do need to make some prioritization about which trees come down or which trees get pruned or which trees get fertilized in some sort of approach. I just don't know that there's a way to do it any different than we're doing right now.
And I will say, you make a point regarding, which line items and how the expenses are classified. I can tell you this right off the bat, this storm damaged parks, for example. There was a tree that we all knew about in Whatnot Park, it was the pine that split. Obviously that fund was never put into that specific line item. That is one of my things that I'm gonna work through this year with Karen to make sure that those funds are allocated into the correct spend bucket for the budget.
Yeah, I think that's important. So I guess my last comment on it would be this, that I get your point, Marianne, that there's uncertainty. I think that part of the issue with not having any kind of priority system is, like, let's just take pruning, for example. Let's say that there's something that we're gonna prune because a resident says, hey, there's a dead wood in front of my house. And it's a relatively small diameter branch. And we go and we spend on that, right? Well, maybe that isn't, even from pruning, maybe we need that money later. But even if we don't run out of pruning, how do we know that money might not have been better used for a different priority, say in takedowns or, something else?
So I'm totally with you there. So what I will say, that the example that you just did, so some of those examples, if you look back at kind of how we handled last year, when memos come in and we take a look at them, obviously some of these smaller diameter trees are easier to get to trees. Were not done by Dave last year in Greenwood. Those were trees that were parsed out for the road department to take care of. And then that's gonna continue as just some of the ongoing work that we have going on with them now is. So that's what's really gonna continue to help us stay within our budget numbers. If you recall, when we ended 24, there was still an allotment of work that needed to be done that we weren't able to do from the financial standpoint that we had. We carried $14,000+ year over year and still finished right within budget. That work with the DPW gets us to where we need to be here.
Okay, well, I mean, I've said what I had to say, which is that I think the prioritization system is one of the things that the council has asked us to do. So, I mean, that's really all I can say. We don't have time to do that right now. I asked for it a year ago, so it's not gonna get done tonight, obviously. I think I said the same thing last year, so here we are again, voting on the budget. I think it's important that we look at that because it would help to, allay some of the criticisms that have been made about our process. If we had, this is why we're taking this is why we're pruning this is why we're taking this down, because we think it's a severe risk whatever it is. Otherwise, it looks like people complain and we go and we cut something, and then in the past, it's happened that we had to come at the end of the year and ask for more money. And I think we didn't have to do that last year, I agree with you, Mike. But that's happened, it happened, I think, the 2 years prior. So I think that is, what the council is worried about is gonna happen again. And part of the reason we were able to do what we did is because there wasn't the storm damage that we'd had in some of the previous years, right? Where at the end of the year, we got a big storm and then we had to, and the parks too have been relatively, minor, so. Those are my comments. What about the rotational pruning, Frank, that you said that we should be doing? How do you feel about this?
I feel good, kind of good, because the road department has picked up a lot of the pruning that used to be contracted out. They've done a number of streets, and they've been a real boom. If we didn't have them, we'd certainly have been over the budget this year, or we didn't when it got work done. But that's been a real savior in my mind, and they're able to do it, and it's good. It's a good thing.
Okay, so good, I'm glad that you've come around to Mike's way of doing things. I think that the other thing is, I know I keep banging this drum, but I have to. If we had a management plan, one of the things it's supposed to be doing is to helping us control our costs and think about how to manage some of the risks. So that'd be another thing it could help us with, walking us through this and thinking about this some. And the rotational pruning, of course, that you originally found, Frank, came from our 2014 management plan. So that's all I have. Thanks, Mike, for the sheet. I know it took you some time. I appreciate it. I get a chance to look at it this afternoon after you got it to me.
This is no problem. I do this literally every day. This is the easy stuff for me right here.
Very well done. Thank you, Mike.
So what I would like to do then is take a vote on the requested 2026 budget and propose this to our council liaison to take to the council during the budget planning season.
Is that a motion there?
Yeah, I'm asking for a motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Stardy?
Yes?
Mr. Jutsa?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. McAlear?
Yes.
Ms. Stecker?
Yes. Do we know the dates of the workshops yet?
Sometime in March, I
March?
understand.
Are you gonna go and present to the council, Mike, about this budget?
If I'm asked to, I will. Moving forward, there are no communications. Moving forward to the Forester's report. As Dave is not here, I guess I will play Forester this evening. So, memo 26-02. This street was located on Sylvan Drive across from the Idlewild Pool property. I did attach a picture for reference just so that everyone can understand, as this was quite a treacherous journey to get to this, since this lot is not in the best shape. But what I will say is the homeowners behind the property had a lot of concern regarding this tree kind of coming down and taking out their fence. They had been in contact with the mayor, so the homeowner and the mayor had reached out to myself to take a look at this. Obviously, this was a tree that really the road department could not get in there and take care of. On Tuesday, January 20th, our forester and myself went through and took a look at everything. This was kind of deemed as an emergency. The work was done that same week. This was a 12 to 24 inch tree. As you can see in the picture, the entire tree was pretty much uprooted and really just kind of hanging on by the smaller caliber 12 to 24s behind it that were holding it up.
And just to refresh everybody's memory, this was before the storm, so there was concern that the storm was gonna bring it down completely, so.
Correct. And we wanted to ensure that this didn't happen to the resident again, as there is a strip of property next to this resident's home that is a town easement that did have a small caliber tree land on the homeowner's air conditioner unit, so we wanted to ensure that that did not happen to this same resident again.
Mr. Lombardi, this was a takedown?
Yes,
The 24, no stump?
no stump.
I thought you did a great job documenting that with the email that you sent and the picture. I hope that if we have to take something down, like between a meeting in the future, you could do that same thing. I think that was really helpful and it cleared up why we needed it. Anyone who looked at the picture would understand why that decision was made. So
No,
thanks.
absolutely, appreciate that. Okay, then, our second memo of the month, 2603, Commissioner Dritzler called in 4 trees to be reviewed for pruning and 1 takedown. So the trees are on Court Road. 1 is in the wooded area closer to the street. It was a takedown. For takedown, it's a 36+ inch tree at 1040. The next one is on the same road again. It is a prune 24 to 36 at 620. Then we have 1 Briarcliff Road, 24 to 36 inch prune. And then on 11 Overlook Trail, 2 prunes, 12 to 24 at 485 each, for that total to be 3250. So for this evening, with the 2 memos for work, the allocated spend would be $37.85.
Can I just ask, Frank, I wasn't quite clear on which trees they were exact, because there's a lot of trees in there. So was it the very large, the Court Road, was it the very large one that
Yeah,
we're taking down?
they're big oaks. There's.
The one that had the dead, like that kind of rotted
Yes.
limb on it, that's completely
Yes,
dead?
that's right directly opposite Parker.
Yeah.
And then if you go towards 202, there's another big oak that's really rotten on the bottom.
Mm.
And that's gone. And, that's gonna be the new Centennial Park in that area, so I think we ought to take care of it. And even that second one has some,
Very big
Dead stuff.
dead limbs in it
Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
cause some.
and you see there was a limb that actually
Yes,
fell.
yes, yeah. That's what I thought you meant, but
Yeah.
I wasn't positive, I just wanted to check. Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve the Forester's report?
I'll move it.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Doherty, will you second?
Yes.
Mrs. Doherty?
Yes.
Mr. Drutzler?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. McAlear?
Yes.
Ms. Deckard?
Yes.
Moving forward to the old business section, there was one item on the agenda, just under grant. What I will say regarding this topic is the grant committee is in the process of reviewing any possible grants that are available for us to put in. So this is a more to come area. This could kind of stay on here, and we will give updates as they come in. Like I said, we're working through this.
So there's no specific grant, it's just grants?
So we have a couple that we're looking at right now. One of the things I want to try to prioritize from a grant standpoint is trying to find ones that do not require a matching fund of any sort. So, like I said, more to come on this topic.
I'll just put in my plug again to say that the $5,000 in matching for the Green Communities Grant, which is the grant that I've been trying to get us to apply for that would get us our management plan, that can be done through volunteer hours. So the volunteer rate is $37 an hour. And one of the things that you can count as long as the grant is being discussed is all of your shade tree meetings, and you have 2 years to do it. So by my math, $37 an hour by 5 people by an hour roughly meeting a month, we would be at about 4,500 of the 5,000 that we would need through volunteer hours. So I don't think we should not apply for grants where there's matching if we can match them like that easily with volunteer hours.
No, I do agree with you there, but I'm talking more, 5,000 I'm okay with as far from a budgeting standpoint, but I'm talking like larger scale matches and things as such.
Yeah, there's 4 areas of grants. One is Green Communities, one is the New Jersey UCF Stewardship Grants, The third is leafing out grants, and the fourth one is trees for schools grants. So that's what we're looking at right now. I've done some research on it, like Mike and I talked about it a little bit. So there's more that needs to be done to get the the details. There's a bunch of them. We're looking at, the one other component that we're looking at is the non-urban eligible programs, right? Because we know we don't qualify for the urban area ones. There are some that have some non-urban areas in it, so we have to do a bit more research on it. But there's definitely some out there, but we just need to go into more detail. It's not easy to find them all. You have to go on a couple of different websites and things, but there's some work. We've made some progress on it. It's just not ready to talk about it today.
I don't understand why no one even asked me for I've done research, I've reached out to people who could do the tree survey, I have all the numbers.
You said you were gonna share it with us.
I said, if you wanted me to, no one asked me for it, I'm happy to give it to
In
you
the
if you
last
asked
meeting,
me.
you said you were sharing it.
Right, if you wanted to look at it, you could have just sent me an email. That is,
I just assumed you were gonna share it. So yes,
it's my
that would be nice.
No one's blaming anyone here, so what we'll do then
it sounds,
is please just send the information for the grant.
we voted for the grant last July.
Correct, and
So why isn't that our priority? We voted for it, why isn't it our priority?
you could have also taken it to a grant writer in town if it was approved.
What are you talking about?
So if you approved the grant, if you wanted to do the legwork on it, why don't you meet with the town grant writer and take care of it?
So you're saying I'm able to go and do this all by myself with no more approval from the Shade Tree Commission?
We voted on it, yes.
Okay, great, I'll do it, thanks.
Okay, moving forward to new business. So just one of the items that I just wanted to call to everyone's attention, based on the first memo that we reviewed, the 2602. This is now a newly acquired property for the borough, so there will be some more work to kind of come in this property, with hopefully the majority of it being handled by our road department, but there are a couple of trees in here that you will be seeing memos for across the next couple months as the budget allows. I just wanted to give everyone a little update on that. Does anyone else have anything for new business?
So just a question, Mike. Is this the property that they were hiring outside consultants to help with the landscaping over there?
No, so this is the
Okay.
property across the
Across.
across the street.
Okay.
So the property that they're hiring architects for kind of landscaping design, that's the original Idlewild Pool property.
Okay.
This is, in theory, kind of a semi,
It was part of Idlewild.
it was, this was the,
Okay.
in theory, the overflow parking lot. There's kind of like a gravel area. This piece of property also connects to an easement, so there's some work that the road department will be doing in there as well as in here, just to
Okay.
kind of clean it up, make it look a little presentable. I mean, you could just kind of see in the picture at the bottom right-hand corner, there's obviously a lot of down debris.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot of hopping over things to kind of even get to some of the trees in here, so
Okay.
actually now with the snow on the ground, it's probably the easiest to kind of get into here, because some of this is
Yeah.
quite swampy, so.
But it's outside of what they're.
Correct.
That.
Mhm.
Okay. Got
Yep.
it. Wasn't sure.
That's all that I have. Is there anything else? Okay, seeing as there's nothing else for this evening, I ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, this is Mr. McAlear and Mrs. Doherty?
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Doherty?
Yes.
Mr. Drewson?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. McAlear?
Yes.
Ms. Stecker?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thanks, Susan.
Susan, you'll have to come more often.
And,
Very quick.
This one's very nice too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Yep, I'll layer on some prioritization on